What's up, everybody? We got another episode of Double Tech. It's your boy Dave here with our host Q, and we're getting ready to discuss the NFL playoffs, the divisional playoff round after a victory over the Raiders, which was kind of controversial, right?
Yeah.
With the whistle and the referees' involvement.
Mm-hmm.
Now Cincinnati Bengals travel to the Titans in Tennessee to take on Derrick Henry, who is now back and activated, ready to play. What are your predictions and thoughts on this game?
To start, I have to say that I want the Bengals. I really want the Bengals to go. I want to see Big Joe make it. Yes, the last game was controversial, but the way those guys can air the ball out. I love Joe Burrow. I mean, he's, they're going to be on him, but he's taking a lot of sacks this season, right? And it doesn't seem to affect him too much. He's able to get out there and get it done. But we got a big fella coming back to the field here today. And, I guess I don't know what percentage of Derrick Henry we're going to get, but he's still a big old man. You got to respect it. So that does change things on the defensive side of the ball. But I have to make my prediction that the Titans are going to take this one. Multiple reasons. I got to take experience, right? Bengals, as great as they're looking, not really many of them have been here before. This is a challenging situation. The Titans, we've seen them get close a lot. They know how to go into the playoffs and win and play a game and give you 4 quarters. And then also the way they run the ball is just explosive. I mean, even without Derrick Henry, they've been able to carry that throughout the season, which tells you a lot. And for the Bengals side of the ball, obviously they beat some great teams. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Raiders. They've gone in against Houston and beat them. I mean, they beat some decent teams, but the problem is the loss that I pay attention to is the Cleveland Browns. And the Cleveland Browns is another team who runs the ball forcibly. They're going to run it down your throat and make it rough. They're going to give you a chance to run it up. And you're going to see a lot of the same from the Tennessee Titans. You're going to see a lot of good defense, and they're going to run the ball. And it seemed like the Bengals had a lot of trouble with that. So I'm going Titans on that one. What about yourself?
Well, first of all, let me agree with Joe Burrow because I want to see him win more than anything. But I think that they already did their job. Mm-hmm. Last week, they got the first win in Bengals playoff history for 30-plus years. They have nothing else to prove now. And the offseason's kind of done. If it ends right here, they're good to go. Conversely, the Titans, you win the number 1 seed fighting through 90-plus different players suiting up in the Titans uniform this season, all the injuries they had to deal with. They were somehow the number 1 seed, and Vrabel has been here before. And you've inched closer and closer. You've gotten to the conference championship game. To lose after a bye week in the first playoff would be a huge meltdown, and that's the part that I don't see. Also, Jamar Chase is going to be double teamed.
Has to be. If we start this game off and I see Jamar Chase one-on-one at
one-on-one, it's not going to happen. But Vrabel is known to double the top receiver of the other unit, even if he does so without his best corner. Something that we've seen Belichick do and a lot of the disciples of the Patriots way is when they're in man, they'll use one safety and the second corner on the number 1 receiver, and then take away your number 2 receiver one-on-one with my corner. That way I can clear a matchup and then use a double with a lesser talent. If they're going to do that, Jamar Chase can still win, but Burrow has to pick his spots. The last 3-4 games, he's been 0 interceptions. If they don't continue that moving forward and they make any type of mistakes, you may not touch the ball again with the way the Titans are going to play ball control and maintain time possession. So taking advantage of the secondary matchups that they get versus Tyler Boyd versus Higgins, one of those guys is going to have to be huge for them to get a victory.
And then not to mention the Titans are healthy again now too. I mean, the whole team pretty much except for one cornerback is back. So you're going to see them at full force, and it's definitely going to be, this is a must win for the Titans too. So I think you got a difference here, right? The Bengals, like you said, the Bengals, they've changed their history. They've come and made a statement, but if they lose, we're going to look at it as a young team making progress, showing that they can compete at the highest level. The Titans lose, I mean, it's almost time to hit the panic button after a while. Like you went, you got Julio, you got Brown, obviously Julio, he has his issues. Got Derrick Henry, you've made defensive moves. This is a time for them. The Bengals can't be the team you lose it to.
I absolutely agree. Vrabel is on the hot seat if they lose this game. It's AFC Championship at a minimum. That was the expectation, was to get to that round. And then if you lose a battle against Josh Allen or Mahomes, you can accept that to a point, but you can't accept this loss to Burrow after, the first division victory for Cincinnati in forever, the first playoff victory. They've kind of accomplished all they set out to accomplish, and they are a young team growing. I love their pieces. I like Jesse Bates. I'm a big fan. Getting Trey Hendrickson from the Saints is huge. He's played much better than I expected, but their linebacking core is young. Their linebacking core is not used to this rugged play. They just have Logan Wilson coming back. If Derrick Henry decides to drop a shoulder on him and is 90% of what we've seen from him, this could be a very long game. You can feed him 20, 30 times just to get him back in a swing and not even worry about it. So this is one of those where I'm kind of against the spread, and I'm kind of double-digit Titans on this one just because of the time of possession, what you're going to be asking Burrow to accomplish. Is too much, and it's not a letdown that they got this far.
The only way, and I'll end it with here, we can move on if you would like. The only way that the Bengals pull this one out is if they start ahead. They have to start. They have to try to get a 14-point lead and force the Titans to have to put Tannehill in a spot where he has to win the game for them. Playing from behind's a tough deal, obviously, when you're just a running team. A lot of coaches panic. They forget about the run. They want to try to airmail it. And that's the Bengals' best case scenario.
Yes, absolutely. They want them to drop back and pass and use.
But we're going to have to agree on the Tennessee Titans on this one for now.
Got to, yeah.
And next we have the Green Bay Packers versus the San Francisco 49ers. Who you holding? Who you got?
This is a matchup from a couple years ago whenever they played Garoppolo in the NFC Championship game to get when San Francisco got to the Super Bowl. And they didn't have the weapons on defense then that they do now. They don't have the complementary pieces to what Rodgers is accomplishing because they didn't have Aaron Jones full strength then, like they will now. They didn't have Devontae Adams at full strength then, like they do now. And I like what we've seen from Deebo Samuel in terms of being an all-purpose threat and taking control of the game. But where's Kittle? We need the production, especially against a team like the Packers, who historically has been poor against tight ends. Remember, the biggest tight end game in history is against San Francisco. Vernon Davis in Lambeau. So, the Kittle's got to get popping, and we haven't seen that. So I question Jimmy Garoppolo's ability to move outside of Deebo Samuel as the center point of the offense. And I don't think the pressure is going to be the same that they faced. Plus, you're not going to get the full health of the San Francisco defense either, with Fred Warner and Bosa being limited this week.
I have to agree. Jimmy G, it's hard to bet on him, right? You got a lot of people you won't bet against. It's hard to bet on him. Even last week, guys, he got Ayuk involved, which Ayuk has been killing it out there. Obviously he uses Deebo. We're not seeing a lot of Kittle, but he makes too many mistakes for the level that we're at right now. We're in the playoffs, and the Packers aren't going to give you 3 or 4 chances and tries to make up for your mistake. We'll say a big one was he overthrew Ayuk when that man cut Diggs down, brought him to his knees, and he overthrew him. That should have been a touchdown. You can't miss those touchdown opportunities. That's why the Cowboys are out right now, because they've missed opportunities, dropped balls, overthrown passes. And San Francisco was fortunate.
And put it on McCarthy, Kellen Moore, whoever we got to put it on. Somebody's catching the blame for the draw.
Yeah. And even if you take that out, right, you got CeeDee Lamb with bricks for hands. You've got, the few times they did kind of get a little look, he's underthrown him a little bit, put it on the floor. It was everybody, And the Packers aren't going to give you all these chances. When you go out there and you make it halfway, like if you want to beat the Packers, you need touchdowns, not field goals. And also, it's just hard to bet against John Wick Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's
at least in this first game. It's rare for him to lose his first playoff game, right? Whether they get the bye or not, he usually gets that first win, and then they lose the second or third one. So I got to go.
Historically, though, the Green Bay Packers have had problems coming out of the bye.
Okay, so do you expect a fast start here, or a slow start from Aaron Rodgers out of the bye week against San Francisco?
I think he's got to open them up. Like I said, we've seen some bad things happen to them coming off of a bye week. One being to my New York Giants, right? Went on to win the Super Bowl. I think coming out of the bye, they need to come back like they never left. I applaud him for playing in that last game of the season, and it was for this very reason, to keep that momentum flowing. And I think trying to limit him too soon, you don't want to end up in a situation where San Francisco starts the game with good field positioning, and then also now you let Debo break something off because something broke down because you're trying to play too conservative. San Francisco's a team, another team, you have to put them away. We've seen what they did against Los Angeles.
They stay alive.
You have to go there, and they will find a way. And even when the game gets ugly, right? It seems like it's been that way for them for 3 weeks. The game's gotten ugly, it's gotten weird, and then Debo bails them out. He bails them out every week. This is not going to work to be the consistent team, the most consistent team in the NFL right now, the Green Bay Packers. So I'm going to have to go with the Green Bay Packers.